What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our Tuesday night Fight the Fascism episode of The Voice of Reason. We are your hosts. My name is Jeremy Baker, and with me, of course, is Mike Falino. What's going on, Mike?
Good. Ow, I just hit my finger on my desk.
I was gonna hurt yourself.
I'm flailing around. I'm so excited. No, I
Right?
really am.
So we do have a great episode lined up for you. So the one thing we like to see when we talk about fascism in America is the people that are fighting back against the fascism in America. We've on previous shows had groups. We've had Stop Moms for Liberty on here, and tonight we have another group that is going head to head with Moms for Liberty. Again, let's reiterate that they've been labeled an extremist group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. They have close ties to, of course, the Proud Boys, among other groups, and they have been they're a well-funded, well thought out, I don't know, plan. And the thing I hate about them the most, I think, is because they're the ones that go after the kids. They're specifically used to target the children.
But they love the children.
Yeah, of course they do. So we do have a very special group on with us tonight. Mike, I will let you go ahead and introduce our guest, and we will go from there.
Well, tonight we're speaking with some individuals who work for the defense of democracy. And again, a lot of these movements that are fighting the fascism growing in America, especially in our public schools, are very aptly named because that's what we're fighting, fascism, and we have to defend it at all costs. So to cut to the chase, I am very, very honored to introduce Karen Svoboda, who is the president and CEO of Defense for Democracy, or Defense of Democracy.
Hey, Karen, how are you?
Hi, everybody. Nice to be here. Hello.
Nice.
Hi.
Thank you for coming on to our humble show. It's very much appreciated. Yeah. Anything we can do to help spread the word.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
So, I mean, what is the main problem? And I'm not going to go in the direction you think of. I'm not going to just ask a big generic question because we know what the problem is. But do people actually see the fascism? And because I know you do, because you had enough of this. So I think, Jeremy, you have a overlay on. Let's go over exactly what fascism is and how you see it creeping in. What got you into this whole thing?
Yeah, so I guess since we're talking about it, we may as well define it exactly so we can see. So what is fascism? Fascism is a political ideology and movement that is far-right, authoritarian, and ultranationalist. It is characterized by a dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible suppression of opposition, belief in a natural social hierarchy, subordination of individual interest. We're just checking all kinds of boxes right now.
I don't like that word.
Strong opposition to Marxism, liberalism, and democracy. Belief that the state takes precedence over individual interests. So that is what we are talking about exactly when we talk about fascism.
How did that? I'm going to use a word that they like to use in a negative way, but how did that trigger you into action?
So, I will say that I have a much more simple definition of what fascism is, and fascism is the silencing of voices, right? So this is where we see the censorship. We see the harassment, we see the attacks, the intimidation, we see the litigiousness, we see everything they can do to silence the voices. What triggered me personally into getting involved in this, and my background is interesting because I'm from New York, and I think everybody assumes. Oh, you're from New York? Yeah.
I'm here right
you
now.
guys got to get together, man. I'm jealous.
Well, but people in New York, I think, until now, have really felt they're in this bubble of this, progressive.
Yep.
And when I saw and I'm not far from Manhattan, and when I saw that there were individuals running for school board in 2022 who were associated with Moms for Liberty, I happened to know who Moms for Liberty were because I was watching during COVID. All of us were stuck in front of the TV, right? So I would watch, and I would watch these school board things happening in Florida, and and I'm not proud of this, but I would look at these school board meetings where people were like yelling at each other and threatening each other, and it was so ugly and crazy. And I would seriously think like, oh my God, I'm so glad I don't live in Florida. That's so crazy. But and you feel like it's a different country that you're separated. And so when I saw the Moms for Liberty name on the street signs endorsing our school board members, I knew that was trouble. So what I did was I looked into the social media accounts of the individuals who they were endorsing, and they had the most racist, homophobic, horrible, Christian, fascist, or what do they call it? Christian
nationalism.
Right. And so all I did, and this was before Defense of Democracy was anything really official, is I just did an awareness campaign, started a website, raised enough money to buy an ad in the paper. The school board election was 6 weeks away. So we didn't have any time to do anything except for show people the truth. And we doubled the voter turnout for our school.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
And then what happened was I started hearing from, then our next was in upstate New York. Somebody was saying, oh, we have the same problems. Can you help us? And then from Maryland, we have the same problems. Can you help us? And because I did it all over social media, we had no budget, right?
Yep.
That's where we grew to the point now we have chapters in almost every state, from Florida to Texas to California to Oklahoma and everywhere in between.
Man, we need your help out here in Suffolk County, because it is MAGAville, USA out here.
We have a chapter out there.
All of our representatives from Long Island are Republican now. It's gross.
I'm in Pennsylvania. Actually, Moms for Liberty got stomped in Pennsylvania. This
we're going to talk about that
round of elections. So, okay.
As much as our ire is up against them, maybe there's a crack in the armor. But before we go too much further and get into the material, what I find very interesting about Defense of Democracy is you put an emphasis up forward, almost, it might even be one of the very first things on your website, is the importance of not just working together from all walks of life, but nonpartisanship. And you I would say demand in your volunteers, I'm going to bring something up for a second, that all your volunteers are expected to follow two basic tenets: advocating for public schools, libraries, educators, and administrators, and educating the public about extremist organizations by pulling aside the curtain of patriot, whatever that means anymore, and parent that these organizations hide behind. And that really comes down to people taking a stand, and the people who volunteer and work with you and work to defend democracy have to uphold these ideals.
Yes. And so one of the early things we created in Defense of Democracy, because we wanted to hit back against the co-opting of the three things that I see, and it's not just Moms for Liberty. They go by many, many different names. Is the co-opting of family, spirituality, and patriotism.
Yes.
So we formed in Defense of Democracy 3 affiliate groups: Veterans Defending Democracy to address patriotism, Students Defending Democracy, that's our family and our kids, and then Faith Leaders Defending Democracy, and that is our spirituality angle.
3-pronged attack.
Yes.
Nice. I like it.
And probably one of our strongest groups is our veterans, man. They are not holding back. They are sick of this being called patriotic, and they know what the
thank you.
is.
Thank you.
I'm looking behind you.
That is one of my things. Like I'm so mad about. Like my dad's passed away now. Honestly, I'm glad he's not able to see this, because he was in 2 wars and defended, whatever he had to do to defend freedom for other people. To see his own country to turn out like this, he would be very upset. So, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I mean, they've stolen so much from us: the ability to live without having to look over our shoulder, the words that we used to, as a country, hold sacred together. And I use that word sacred very secularly because there are secular sacred things. July 4th, for example, is a secular but sacred holiday. But they just stole so much from us, and I think they were fracturing us. I think they were winning until they overplayed their hand and they started implementing their agenda to get into the schools. We know what happened on January 6th. We see what's happening, what they're trying to do in Congress and other places. But I think we're on track because there's a lot of groups that are fighting. And to show that, I think you actually brought us an additional guest today. I don't want to forget, so that we can start going into some of the meat of what we want to talk about. If you'd like to introduce her.
Yes, of course. This Ashley is waiting, and she is one of our volunteers from Oklahoma, where there has been a lot of stuff going down, and our Oklahoma volunteers have been through a lot, and they are just an incredible group. They're funny. They take everything with a sense of humor, but they are serious too at what they're doing. So yes, this is perfect time to introduce Ashley.
Hi, Ashley. Welcome to the show.
Hey.
Hi, thank you for having me.
How are things in Oklahoma?
Oh, after doing this for about a year and a half now, I always say there's two things going on. I'm glad that I woke up and the sun is out, and then also I am so bummed about all the terrible people in charge of our education and really a lot of our systems in Oklahoma.
Now, I want to bring up real quick, Karen, like you brought up earlier, like they have many names. It's not just Moms for Liberty. Like I've kind of come to the assumption that everything is coming out of the Heritage Foundation and like Project 2025 and stuff like that. And I feel like Moms for Liberty is the arm of that because they had to dump money into some group. So they found Moms for Liberty. So we're going to use them. They weaponize them to go after the schools and they go after the kids. That's my theory anyway. Somebody can prove me wrong if they want to. But before we get into too much more, I do want to play the video from your YouTube channel.
Yes.
Because this is very good. So let me just play this real quick and we'll go ahead and get into some of the topics here.
I love it.
Moms for Liberty is, in fact, nothing of the sort. Funded by aggressive anti-democratic Christian nationalists, the tightly run, well-funded hate group serves as a front to push the authoritarian agenda of treasonous extremists. These moms are, in reality, three highly skilled operatives well connected with extremist political forces. Bridget Ziegler is the wife of Christian Ziegler, head of a marketing firm that was paid hundreds of thousands of dollars by PACs tied to Donald Trump and who now happens to be chair of the Florida Republican Party. And they claim they're nonpartisan. Moms for Liberty has often been cited for their terrorizing harassment, for their interference in student education, for fighting COVID-19 protections in schools, including mask and vaccine mandates, and for being in bed with large politically and corporate-backed entities rather than being a genuine grassroots group. What allows them to follow their hate-filled anti-democratic trajectory and grow significantly in the process? They are extremely well-funded. Julie Fancelli, heiress of the Publix grocery chain fortune and a major funder of the January 6, 2021 Stop the Steal rally, donated $50,000 to the M4L Florida PAC. Other donors to the summit included the Heritage Foundation, Turning Point USA, and Parents Defending Education. Moms for Liberty has also received a boost from its enmeshment in official GOP politics at multiple levels. By standing together and rejecting the divisive ideologies propagated by groups like Moms for Liberty, we can work towards a society that truly values and respects the rights and dignity of all its members.
Really are so many
to the point. I love it. But no, it's, and I don't think people realize how dangerous some of these groups behind the scenes are. And I think that's kind of where Mike and me come in with our show. What we're trying to do is expose a lot of this stuff, and Moms for Liberty is just one of those groups. When I looked into them, it's like the more I looked into it, the worse it got.
Yeah.
And it's horrifying what they're trying to do. And we've talked about it on previous episodes. They want to get rid of public schools altogether.
Yes.
Privatized schools. That's a big one right there.
They're more than a public relations thing. They are an active arm of the weapon. I mean, you look right here, this is them in their own words. If we can't infuse our Christian values into this curriculum, then we'll keep it that benign state. I can't say honestly that I really want to be a school board member, but I do feel compelled, and I do feel like it's a call from God. What belongs in school is math, science, history, a little phys ed, the end. And I might agree with that last one if people could actually parent their kids and teach them not to be bigoted little bully jerks.
Well,
but it looks like the moms for these people are just living in practice what they're teaching their kids. But
right.
I mean,
Well,
what do you
so
think
first
about
of all,
that?
the typo in the first one, that was me. Like I put all the
hey,
copy on the website. It's exhausting.
It
But
happens, yeah. Trust me.
what
Yeah.
that quote was talking about, because I know those were the quotes that we put up. Those were the people running in my school district in New York. So that was my first little foray into who they were.
Those were New
When
Yorkers
she
saying
was
that?
saying math, science, etc., the end, I mean, they were talking about like sex ed, but only the biology of it. You know, that's where they're saying the benign state.
Right.
That's all they
Like,
think
here's
it
a
is.
sperm, here's an egg. This is what happens. That's all you need to know.
When
Mhm.
do they teach about the stork bringing the baby? Because that's basically what they're trying to go back to.
Mhm.
Ashley, what do you see in Oklahoma? I mean, those were words out of New Yorkers. And as Karen said earlier, I myself, up until recently, lived in this privileged little bubble that I lived in some sort of liberal haven. I do not. Oklahoma, at least to my New York sensibilities, is a red state. So are you shocked hearing those quotes from people on your school board?
You know, it might be surprising, but there are little bubbles of blue everywhere. I think I didn't realize how bad it had gotten until I went to a state school board meeting a year and a half ago. And so I'm not surprised at all now. And I guess I wasn't really surprised to see it. I just didn't realize how many people with so much power thought those things. And I'll say too, when they say just reading, writing, and math in school, which they say here too, they're forgetting about, well, they're not forgetting, but like our school district in Tulsa is the largest district in Oklahoma. We have 34,000 students, and we're 80% socioeconomically disadvantaged. We are majority minority. A third of our population is English language learners. Oklahoma has the highest ACE scores in the country, which is adverse childhood effects. So that's child abuse, incarcerated parents, homelessness, food insecurity. And so they're saying they want to get rid of social emotional things in the classroom. And those are things that our children need. Like our parents don't necessarily all have the time or resources for everything
education
that a child needs. And so it's really wrong and sad that they try to make it seem like a good thing, that all they want is, the basics.
Well, because who are they pandering to? Their crowd is themselves. They're not trying to convince anyone of anything. They're just trying to weasel their way into more power. But they believe that, the parents should be producing obedient little servants to the state and the church. And that's it. All you do is send your kids to school for reading, writing, and arithmetic, right? Just like the 1950s. Woo! Make America great again.
What they forget, and this is what we all have to remember, is that the client of the public school system is the public.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you.
It's not the individual. It's to create an educated society that can think for itself. And
apparently we have failed epically with that.
Well,
and a vast amount of the population that is not.
They know this too, right? Like, that's the thing is, I always say you can't pretend your enemy is stupid. That's the easy way out. And that's how you tell your group of people that you can fight the enemy. If you just listen to me, I know how to beat them. They're stupid. Our enemy is not stupid. They're cold and calculated. They know that. I think this might be a segue into one of our favorite videos, Jeremy. They know that the best way to build the society that they want in their image is through the children.
Yes.
Who famously, I don't know, there might be a famous quote that someone once said about the children. Jeremy, do you have anything to say about that?
Well, yeah, I think everybody by now knows the infamous newsletter that showed the Hitler quote. And then, of course, they went and, in the eyes of the world, retract, said, well, we're not against that as a group. That's not what we stand for. That's just that chapter.
That was
Well, yeah, we still have that footage. I love video footage. It's so nice that it exists.
The internet
But here's
is
the video
amazing.
footage of her saying that they obviously support them. It's just
There's always a reason. There's always a reason why something happens, right? Yes. One of our moms in a newsletter quotes Hitler. Woo! I stand with that mom.
That's it. That's all you need to know about them.
Yeah.
So can I just address this as a CEO of another organization?
Yes, please.
Oh my God.
By all means.
Like the continual and we can't let them get away with this, but the continual deferring of, oh well, we let our chapters do what they want to do, and we don't really control, and it's this whole thing. And I have been really clear with my volunteers after that aired. I was like, if anybody quotes Hitler, you're out. Like, you're not defending democracy and quoting Hitler. And P.S., happy Hanukkah. Like, did they not see that this would come back to haunt them? Like, you have to have standards for your volunteers. We have a training where we basically say the opposite of what Moms for Liberty trains their volunteers to do. This is how we're training ours. We want people to be, we say, you have to be honest. You have to not only be honest, but not even exaggerate. Because guess what? You don't need to. Like, the wild stuff that they are doing is so out there. There is no need to create any kind of fiction. Right?
No, that's the crazy part.
There's so much freaking content. I can't even keep up with it, these people.
Tell us about it. My God. Every day I'm online. I'm like, seriously, will these people slow down? I can't keep track of it all.
Yeah, but like, I think the thing that's crazy is we look at it as a source, not of entertainment, but of evidence, if you will, content to prove what they are, because they're saying it. But like, that's my point. They're not even hiding it. We're past the point. And again, this is why, and I've heard other people say this, I don't hate Trump. I hate what he did. And what he did is make Moms for Liberty think it's okay to go on stage and back someone who quoted Hitler. Then when a bunch of people cheer, they didn't scrub the internet of it. Like, they're okay with that.
Right. And then they drill down on it. And it's like, it really is the worst. They have the worst marketing strategy that I have ever seen, because they do not clean up their own messes, and they like leave with egg on their face every time they go in front of a camera, which is why I have noticed that their chapters they have shut down allowing their chapters to speak more often than not, because I've been interviewed on several different media outlets, and every time they say, well, we're going to reach out to the chair of this local chapter, and I was like, you won't get them. They've told them no, and then you don't.
It's funny. They're learning that their own people are the most distilled version of the deplorables you're ever going to get. And the problem with that is, while you need those, that's all you have left, because even some of the ones that should probably still be in trouble for the support they gave Donald Trump and this fascist movement all along, they're starting to move away too. Maybe they're slithering away and we'll forget about them as they crawl under a rock. But all that's left are these people that are uncontrollable lunatic morons. And I don't mean that, I know that sounds contradictory. The people in charge are the smart ones. The foot soldiers, not so much. So who do they expect are going to run the local grassroots chapters they have, except these extreme MAGA people, these people you see on those interviews where they can't even like name the 3 branches of government. Like, so they're realizing they have to centralize their message and they can't let their people speak. So that tells you what they think about their own people. Wow, we can't trust our own people to spread our message.
So, Karen, let me ask you about the recent controversy, obviously, with the Ms. Ziegler. Let me go ahead and play this video, and I can't believe this is what's going to bring I feel like Moms for Liberty is crumbling over this one controversy.
Oh, we're getting there.
Let's play the video first, and I'll let you get both of your feedback on this.
The Sarasota School Board is officially asking board member Bridget Ziegler to voluntarily step down.
I'm disappointed. As people may know, I serve on another public board, and This issue did not come up, and we were able to forge ahead with the business of the board.
The school board cannot force Ziegler out. Only the governor can do that. Board member Tom Edwards says he's not interested in all the drama.
It is the distraction du jour in a long list of distractions that has kept the board drama-focused instead of student-centric focused.
It comes following rape accusations against her husband. GOP Chairman Christian Ziegler surfaced last week, and Bridget's own admission to a three-way affair with the accuser.
LGBT children and LGBT families have been under attack by the state legislature, an attack pushed forward by Ms. Ziegler.
Ziegler has been on the board since 2014. She is also a co-founder of the conservative Moms for Liberty group, backing Governor Ron DeSantis' law dubbed as Don't Say Gay. She has been outspoken on conservative issues.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Bridget Ziegler's got to go.
So you want?
Yeah.
Look,
All right. So do you think this is going to destroy Moms for Liberty? I mean, we got to point out the blatant hypocrisy, first of all.
Valid question. Now, I want to tell you guys, this is an absolutely true story. That news story broke on my birthday. And
happy birthday. Yeah, happy birthday present for you.
My phone was blowing up like,
oh, man.
you got your birthday wish.
That's
Like,
amazing.
oh, that's perfect.
In all seriousness, before this, anytime anyone would try to say to me like, they're going to go down, they're going to, and I have said consistently that I didn't think that was going to happen because of the political backing they have and because of the money that they have.
Exactly.
You
The
have
money's
to
what's
screw up on such an astronomical level to break that
Their founder.
charm.
You do. Yeah.
So do I think that this is going to bring them down? I honestly do. I cannot imagine anything worse coming out other than, finding out Tiffany Justice is a man. Okay. That's, and I don't even know if that would, like, it just hit them. They have, and they quoted me. I was quoted in Wired magazine that they have been undone by their own hubris, right?
Yeah.
This is,
they really have.
This will do it. Does it mean the problem's going away? No. But I do think this will be ultimately a fatal blow to Moms for Liberty.
I don't think they're going to be able to shift, knock her out, and then rebrand. And the thing that's interesting is, and I want to move into a discussion more about their waning influence, because if you really look at what's been going on before this,
yes,
there was two things. The awareness of them has been rising, and people have been worried about them, and people have been taking notice. So the Southern Poverty Law Center added the organization, among others, to their hate map as part of the release of their Year in Hate and Extremism 2022, which, by the way, only in America would we need to have something like that. They wrote that members of the nonprofit can be spotted at school board meetings across the country wearing shirts and carrying signs that declare, "We do not co-parent with the government." Yes, you do. That's what public education is. The report that said the group hijacks meetings, preventing officials and parents from conducting their normal proceedings. They were called far right and an anti-government organization that engages in anti-student inclusion activities.
That's everything right there.
This is just... This is amazing.
Yeah.
This is that map. From 2022, every one of those dots is the centralized location of a hate group in the United States of America, typically branded as something that's supposed to help America, help kids,
we should do,
help something.
We should find see if the same map exists for 2016. I want to see how much of a rise it's been since 2016. I really want. I've been actually just one of the questions I asked when I emailed the SPLC. So I want to discuss the rise in hate groups as well.
Yeah.
Because how long has Moms for Liberty been around? A couple of years?
Yeah, 2022.
They seem to have kind of, they became like the big shots or the big flashy name when they were like, you can't tell us to wear masks. And that's really where they became, that's where, and this is one of my issues with the quote undecided voters. Are you that wishy-washy that you can't see that maybe for some reason you might not agree with a mask mandate, but you can't figure out that those people that just are appearing out of nowhere are maybe taking advantage of you? Do you really not dig into it? I mean, Ashley, how do you see where you are, interacting with other parents and students and people on boards? Like, do people easily believe this stuff? Are you encountering people that are like, wow, I woke up and I want to help? Or is it like there's the crazies and then the rest of us?
I think that there's just a large amount of people that don't pay a whole lot of attention. And so if they're just popping into the scene for maybe voting for our elections, for school board elections, then they might fall for some of the pieces that Moms for Liberty type people put out. So I think what's important is for us to do like what Karen did, is make sure that people know who they are and do that work. I don't know. I mean, I think we have obviously we're Oklahoma. We have a really big base of very extreme people, especially religious folks. And that's where most of our crowd comes from. There are certain hubs of people that there's a church in Edmond, Oklahoma that does a lot. The GOP in Tulsa is very busy. So you kind of get to know the characters, and then those leaders seem to bring in people that maybe don't know so much of what's going on. They just trust the leaders. So like when there was a big controversy at our school, we have a Moms for Liberty school board member. We have one official one, and she called in her backup, and it was just a whole bunch of people that don't have kids there. It was actually like motorcycle people from this church. And so there's these like big guys, they're hanging out, and like they had to listen to a really, really long public comment, and they seemed bored and maybe like they agreed with us. I saw them just like dancing at her a lot. Like, what, I wouldn't want that for my kids either. I want local control too. It was
now the one thing they're going after in Oklahoma is I'll play the video for, is the Scholastic Book Fair altogether, which
I gotta tell you, my God, I loved that book fair when I was a kid.
I did too.
I am the biggest nerd. I grew up in sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. And I played the games, I read the books, I played the video games. But man, when I was a little kid, there was nothing better than begging my mom 1,000 times until she gave me that extra $5 to go get more books. I used to love that. Oh my God, it was.
As a parent, I hated it just because I knew I was going to have to pay a fortune for a bunch of books. But at the same time, I could barely get I used to have to argue with my kids to get to do their homework. So I was happy there was a couple times a year they at least were interested in the books and buying certain books. But let me play this video for real quick from Farron Cousins, and then we'll talk about what's going on in Oklahoma.
The right-wing group Moms for Liberty is not happy with just banning one book here and one book there and, finding other books along the way. Nope. They have now decided that they want to take on just all books. Because there are some books they don't like, they just want to get rid of all the books. And nowhere is that more apparent than in the state of Oklahoma, where the Oklahoma chapter of the Moms for Liberty group has decided that they want to ban the Scholastic Book Fair from public schools across the state. Moms for Liberty in Oklahoma is literally pushing to ban the book fair from public schools. Because as they, I'm not going to put words in their mouth. Here's what they said. Scholastic, a once trusted company that happens to be one of the top publishers of children's books, now appears largely focused on indoctrinating youth with radical viewpoints and sexual ideologies from a very young age at an increasingly rapid rate.
Yeah, so that's what they're doing in Oklahoma. Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand their obsession with. I mean, I get it. You know what I mean? They're trying to control what people learn. They're trying to create this dystopian. I mean, their plan is very dystopian, and I don't think people realize how dystopian it actually is. I mean, they want to control everything from the media to elections to quite honestly, what you see on TV, what you hear on the radio, like quite literally everything is they want to control it from here on out. I mean, I don't think people understand how democracy is quite literally on the ballot this time around. I mean, it's no longer Republican versus Democrat. It's fascism, democracy. You know what I mean? You have a choice, and it's a very, I hope people choose to be on the right side of history. But
yeah.
First, these are all being implemented at the state levels, though. So right now we have to deal with like stuff like book bans in Oklahoma. Like, when did you find out? Like, when did this start with the scholastic book ban, where they want to ban the entire thing altogether?
So they brought that up in November, but way back in March, our state superintendent brought up some rules that limit our libraries a little bit more. But honestly, the state legislature has rules on obscenity in schools.
Yes.
So the idea that there are books in our schools that are inappropriate or pornography it's not true.
No.
Our superintendent has been asked to show proof of that, and he's never been able to. And so it's just a scare tactic. And it sounds awful. Like, I know none of us want that, but they keep putting rules in place that are already there. And then also saying, oh, we're going to force schools to have a plan for what to do if they're, for book challenges for parents to go through and get that fixed in their libraries. But all of our schools already had that in place. So it's really, it's him trying to look extra powerful and
performative
control.
It is about control. It's not about pornography, and it's not about protecting kids. It's about control. It's about control.
Exactly.
Yeah, but what I always hate, and I've grown up in a family that has had many educators in it, and you have to trust experts. The problem is if you say that you know more than the experts, then there's no point in anyone having any job, any special field. Anyone can do whatever they want. I have no argument with parents knowing what's going on in the curriculum, but there comes a point where a public education system and a society has to decide that you are going to form an education that is going to be beneficial for everyone, is not harmful, but is healthy and will help promote children's growth, understanding, self-worth, all of that.
Right.
If you put too much hands in the power of the parents, you now have 40,000 million different parents with as many different views. One person might say that's pornography. The other person who agrees with them on everything, maybe they didn't think that one was pornography.
But the stuff they're saying,
what is it? It's arbitrary.
They're like, oh, the left is hypersexualizing our kids, but then they're trying to ban books where like there's two cartoon characters, or there's like a cartoon character that has two dads. Like that's the stuff they're talking about. A hypersexualizing.
They're not protecting.
Like, stop it.
They're trying to put the thumb on everyone and everything.
Right, and then erase people from, they can't see their own experience. Children can't see, they've got gay parents or just erasing their history and their experience.
That is so terrifyingly true, because one of Jeremy and mine's pet project is reading the Project 2025 website, which I don't recommend for anyone. And they literally say in there, we will get rid of the words transgender. We will get rid of the words gender ideology.
They want to delete the words, not ban the words. Literally, they delete the words from existence.
The words. And, like you said, Ashley, representation matters. And it's, man, the privilege and the racism and the bigotry and the white supremacy that lets people think that the only perspective that matters is the one that they're comfortable with, is the whitest, most privileged perspective I've ever heard in my life. And you can't separate the racism from the fascism, from the bigotry, from the anti-LGBTQ. You can't separate any of that. But yet they're wrapping it in the package of just nice moms. We just love our kids. We just want to protect them. No, you're racist.
We said at the beginning that the definition of fascism, one of the things they are dead set against is socialism. And these idiots that support this don't realize that's public school.
Yes. Well, they,
Is
or they, or do
socialism,
they?
for Christ's sake.
Well,
Social
that's the
program,
thing is, they
socialism.
want socialism for them, right? They love the Congress. Oh man, they love their free healthcare, and all the veterans, they like whatever benefits they get, and everyone on Medicare and Medicaid, they love that. But socialism's bad when it goes to making them kids gay. No one's making your kids
It's
gay.
just so.
We're just trying to allow them to live their lives and have people like you not make them want to kill themselves. Let's just be honest about what this is.
So what you just said, I mean, that's what I see, and that's what what initially concerned me so much, because before I'm anything, I'm a parent, right? I have actually 7 children. We're a blended family, so they didn't all come out of me, but I do, and I love them. Yeah. So they're between 16 and 21, so they're kind of all in that age of like discovering. And one of my youngest, who is now a junior in high school, at the time they were a sophomore in high school, their GSA, which is the Gay Straight Alliance Club, was attacked by a local former elected official who wrote this article about the high school had like a winter carnival, right? And all the different clubs had to do something and put on some kind of activity. And the GSA put on, like, they handed out rainbow flags, and they put on like a little bowling thing. Like they went into the locker, and they had set up bottles, and kids would, throw it down the aisle. And this former elected official decided that they were doing something perverted in the locker room, and that they were indoctrinating because they were handing out. And it was awful, because they weren't attacking the administrators or they were straight up saying that the children in that club, who were 15, 16, like young kids, were predators and pedophiles. And think about what that is like to a 15-year-old high school kid who has to go back to school and having been called in a very public way, because what happened is Moms for Liberty got hold of that article, and they amplified it. They shared it everywhere. They were commenting all over it. And my kid came home from school, and I said to them, I was like, did you hear?
We lost audio for a second.
I really want to talk about it. But it gets worse, because what happened after that. This is probably the one time that I really got in and like rolled up my sleeves and like called them out, and it didn't go well. It was about, as you expect, when you get on social media, like it's like everything hit the fan.
Yep.
But what ended up happening was, 2 days after that, a death threat was called in to the principal of that school. All right. And so what we have to understand is that violent words beget violent actions, right? Like you write an article like that, children are going to get hurt. It is nonsense. Those kids are like the greatest. They're like the gay nerds, right? They just want to go and play Dungeons and Dragons and be left alone.
Like, I don't understand that. The kids are the victims here. The kids are really the victims of this fascist
because
group.
They're not doing this for the kids. They're doing this to control the kids.
Right.
That's it. They can't. These people are so terrified, excuse me, of their kids growing up outside of this little perfect world that they imagined for themselves and their kids. I'm going to grow up, and then when I have kids, my kids are going to get married, and I'm going to have grandkids. Well, you're not entitled to shit. You raised a kid. Your job is to love that kid. And if they don't want kids, if they want to be gay, not want to, but you know what I mean. If they want to go live in Switzerland, I don't care. You're supposed to love them.
But
you're not supposed to control your children.
If we don't get this under control, and next year, we got to look at the bigger picture. Like, who is going to want to be a teacher in the future?
Well,
have to deal with shit like this.
Florida.
I mean, seriously, they don't get paid enough to begin with. Now you got mass shootings.
Look at them in Florida. Like they're in a crisis. I don't know about Oklahoma, Ashley.
Yes, we are in a huge crisis.
Everywhere.
Yep.
I think Florida
Well, I
is
mean,
ranked 46th in SAT scores out of all the states right now.
well, but
I mean, it's
it's funny because they say they want to push. They want to get rid of the woke, right? They want to push the arithmetic and the math and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But yet they're the ones that they're trying to say these schools are they have the best schools until they're woke. Well, your scores have been garbage for years in a Florida, in a Texas. It's not the woke, it's you and the things that you think are important or not are important. You don't know what you're talking about. That's why we have teachers and educators to teach your kids. But then when they go home and the parents don't help them with the homework, or the parents, maybe they don't have time, but then you sometimes probably have contradicting stuff, right? You go home and your dad says, I don't like you talking about that stuff. Or you know what? Well, it's not going to stick. But
I feel like these groups demand all these things out of these teachers. They're just unrealistic expectations. Like who's going to want to deal with that kind of stuff and get paid as
that's
a
the
teacher?
point is, I think they want to get rid of creativity also, because you go back to the book fair.
Well, yeah, critical thinking is a big thing.
They want to get rid of kids not just thinking critically, but also being able to have emotional intelligence. So here we go. When we as politicians create a climate of fear by establishing these laws that anybody, including Moms for Liberty, makes these complaints, we've empowered fringe elements to take away books and ideas from 700,000 kids. That's not fair. But what they don't understand is you could teach a million different things in one simple third grade book. You could teach math, you could teach emotional intelligence, you could teach self-worth, self-identity, but they don't want that. But it's almost like people are getting sick of this. Again, this has to do with the book fair. I think that Moms for Liberty is just stretching and reaching right now. It is about control. It is not about what they say is pornography. It is about being able to control what other parents do. I find it offensive. I find it frankly rather disgusting. Now, who said that? Oh, you did, Karen. And it's funny because I think a lot of people, Ashley, you looked like you were about to say something. I just want to say that a lot of people are expressing that exact viewpoint. Go ahead.
The quote right before that was I saw Waldron. He's a representative in Oklahoma.
Nice.
Actually, since we're talking about people that are speaking out against groups like Moms for Liberty, and apparently you know this guy too, Karen.
I love this video.
Let me go and play this video. I reached out to him. He's going to be on the show at the end of January with Liz from Stop Moms for Liberty. So that's going to be a good show as well. So
because no matter how hard you try to implement these discriminatory policies in the right way, you are never going to find a right way to do the wrong thing. And Governor Youngkin's policies are wrong. One of the ways you could tell is because you have speakers from groups like Moms for Liberty here to support them. And I'll be real simple in case you aren't paying attention. They're not the good guys. How can you tell? I can help. The good guys don't get declared extremist groups by human rights organizations. Never in history have the good guys been the ones trying to ban books. Never in history have the good guys been a segregationist group pushing to legislate identity. Never in history have the good guys been closely connected with and supported by hate groups like the Proud Boys. And the good guys don't put Hitler quotes for inspiration on the front of their newsletters. Newsflash, they're the bad guys. They're the bad guys here supporting bad policy. And if you support the same bad policy, guess what? You're one of the bad guys too.
It's so simple. He puts it so eloquently.
He's awesome.
So simple.
What I love is he does. This has nothing to do with defending democracy. He doesn't even look at notes. He just stands up there and he just says it. You know, it's awesome.
He's got a composure and an ability to keep his train. My train of thought has 5 cabooses and they're all fighting for the same track.
I know, like right now, I'm looking at my screen, looking at all these different things, trying to stay focused. Yeah, I love when he speaks. I've seen several videos of him.
Can't wait to talk to him. But
yeah, and I'm so glad he accepted.
He's just one of the so many people that I've seen standing up to Moms for Liberty, standing up for just the typical Republican fascists that are trying to take over, that were doing this before Moms for Liberty, and they'll be trying to do it after it. You know, you already mentioned, Karen, that you think this latest scandal, if you will, is probably going to break them. Have you seen signs before that? And do you see now, aside from the scandal, where do you think they're headed? And Ashley, I want you to chime in too, because as the boots on the ground, I want to see in a state that literally tried to ban a freaking book fair, Do you see their influence waning? Are we winning the war?
All right. Ashley, do you want to go first? Because you have a, call it narrow, but you have a very condensed view because you're looking at one state, and I'm looking at, I can kind of give feedback, but in Oklahoma, I'm sure that her opinion is going to be maybe a little different from mine.
Well, I'm interested exactly in that reason then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that the Moms for Liberty folks they're still around. I still see them. There are people like them that I pay a lot more attention to, and they don't seem to be going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it'll just move to another spot, They're very, I don't know, in Oklahoma it's not very hidden. It's out
the open.
Mm-hmm.
Out and proud, the irony of that.
Very overt. And I think a lot of this is become extremely overt. I just don't understand how out loud this stuff is.
It could just be a jerk.
And I think I don't remember if it was on your website, Karen. And in case anybody wants to get involved, all your website information is in the description of our YouTube video. So by all means, please check that out. But go ahead.
Go ahead, Ashley.
I want to say too, though, like I feel like I go to every state school board meeting. I go to every Tulsa public school board meeting, and when I go to the state meetings, I get there at 3 a.m. these days, and we stand in line for 6 hours. And I stand next to these people, and they are dwindling. There aren't as many that are as committed in being there that early, that long. And it is the same faces all the time. And I do think that in Oklahoma, 95% of us send our kids to public school. So I think people just they just think it's always going to be there. And I think that if we can rally people and let them know what the stakes are, there's more of us. There are more of us.
What do I say? Like, I have one of the things that I have said for a long time at Defense Democracy, and it's oversimplifies a lot of things, but there's more good than bad, right?
Yep.
There are more good people, and I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think this, right? If there are more good people in this country,
there was no hope.
Bad. The bad people are a little louder and scarier.
And they have more money.
And they have more money.
Right.
I feel like
is the big thing.
What we see is that when you have one person in a community willing to stand up and show their face, okay, you will inspire 10 other people to do the same.
Yep.
And I've seen that over and over. And I will tell you, when Defensive Democracy started, 99% of the calls that I got when we went national was a very emotional, thank God you're here. I thought I was all alone. And all of a sudden you realize you're not all alone. Like, you're just scared in your shell because they make you feel like you're all alone.
Right.
So,
and a lot of that is the fascism side. Cause like in Oklahoma, if you speak out against them, surely your company works with someone that knows the governor, or if you're a teacher, you get your license revoked. So like you are in trouble. And so when I went to my first meeting, I was the only parent there. It was a big situation, and I was shocked about that. And I realized, my husband works for someone in Philadelphia. I had a small business that had closed recently, and I was like, you know what? No one can fire me, and I can say what needs to be said. And I know a lot of people watch those meetings, and in the time that has passed, a lot of people are like, oh, you're that woman with the braids. I love hearing you talk. Thank you for telling Brian Walters what we all think, what we all wish we could say. And more and more people start, you're right, coming out of the woodwork that can talk or realize how bad it's gotten. And
because it is ugly. And I do want to, before we close, we have a few minutes left that I want to take this a little bit larger scope and talk about like Trump and the overall scope of fascism and how bad it is. So what I did is just to kind of put these back to back. I have one as a Trump speech that I condensed down to less than a minute. And then the other one I'll explain after we watch the Trump speech. But they're not only just going into the schools. We see with the abortion laws in Texas, people fleeing the country just to get necessary medical care. It's not just in the schools. They're implementing it in different states on different levels. And Donald Trump is I think Heritage Foundation has all the power. I think Donald Trump is just the puppet that they've chosen.
Well, he's not in charge of it. He's
show.
just the linchpin.
No, he's just dumb enough to say everything they want him to say, but I think he's overplaying his hand. And it's going to bite him in the ass. So let me play this first video of Trump.
Like a rocket ship. It was like a rocket ship sent by Kim Jong-un. Just like that. Who was very nice, I will tell you. Vladimir Putin of Russia says that Biden's, and this is a quote, politically motivated persecution of his political rival is very good for Russia because it shows the rottenness of the American political system. Can you imagine President Xi of China, powerful kind of a guy? They hate when I say that. Oh, you're saying nice things now. Very radical, out of control, fake, crooked prosecutor in America for their illegal, racist, in reverse enforcement of the law. Those people in jail with the J6 hostages. I don't call them prisoners. I call them hostages. They're hostages. They're poisoning the blood of our country. The crime is going to be tremendous. The terrorism is going to be. And then we built a tremendous piece of the wall, and then we're going to build more.
I mean,
racism in reverse.
Yes, I know.
How much more fascism do you need in one speech? I mean, talking about dictators that you idolize, talking about poisoning the blood. I mean, using Hitler quotes.
Before you play
what more
the
do people
next
need
video,
to run away from this guy?
Before you play the next video, I just want to say one thing, because the reason we're doing Fight the Fascism Tuesdays, and having all these groups on and talking to these amazing people that dedicate way more time than they probably have in their day to fighting fascism on the ground is because none of this is hyperbole. They're telling us what they're trying to do. Yeah. And what's even more terrifying to me is that fascism is not new in America. It's always been there, but we've been able to keep it at bay with a crap ton of antibiotics. That's called education. And if you don't believe me that it's been there and it's always been waiting to grasp at its chance,
it has been.
Jeremy has a video to prove otherwise.
Yes, so most people don't know this, and I hate playing this video, but because it's on topic and it's for educational purposes, most people don't know that there was a large pro-Nazi movement in the United States in the 30s, and here is the video showcasing that.
Gentlemen, fellow Americans, American patriots, I'm sure I do not come before you tonight as a complete stranger. You all have heard of me through the Jewish-controlled press as a creature with horns, a cloven hoof, and a long tail.
Patriots, American patriots, the Soros-controlled media.
It was like watching just the black and white version of a Trump rally is all I saw. I mean, I'm sorry.
The danger is real. And it's,
yes,
go ahead, Jeremy. Sorry.
Tell the people exactly how dangerous this is. I mean, what are the potential outcomes for places like public schools if Donald Trump were to be reelected? Like, what are the real?
So Defense of Democracy's official, we are nonpartisan. That being said, I think you can be nonpartisan and also understand the threat that someone like Donald Trump poses to the country. Okay. I honestly, and this is going way back, I can't believe it should have ended when he made fun of the disabled reporter.
Yep.
Right? Yep. Seriously. So, the threat is absolutely there, and it is about dismantling not just the public education system, but all the systems of government, right? And that's we're not getting into the 7 Mountain Mandate, but that's what we're talking about: media, education, government, religion, family, whatever. Absolutely, and it's been in the works since for quite a long time. I'm still learning about it, so I'm not one to speak. Yes, it is frightening to me. That being said, I have finally found some hope in the determination of the American people that Defense of Democracy is mobilizing. Just as an example, because Ashley's sitting here, like when she told you they as a group, my Oklahoma chapter, they have meetings that they want to attend, and what the superintendent, or what was Ryan Walters, who's the state superintendent, right? He would have kind of all of his minions who are all senior citizens, elderly, and I have nothing against senior citizens. Some of my favorite most dedicated volunteers are that age. But they obviously didn't have children in the public school system. And so they would all line up starting at 5 or 6 in the morning for a 9 o'clock interview. And they would limit the amount of people. So like the open meetings law is just not even a thing in Oklahoma. And so they would show up at the crack of dawn. And meanwhile, you have parents like Ashley who have young kids and you're getting them to school. So what they ended up doing, and this is the genius of our volunteers, they got, tell them, Ashley, I don't even want to, were you there the last time that they did it with the full, okay, why don't you tell what you guys did to counteract some of that and how well it worked. And this gives me hope for who we are.
No, I hope I'm telling the part that you are thinking of. So I and from my perspective, I think is really unique is like I've been attending these meetings since August of 2022, and the Defense of Democracy folks started showing up. They came in August. I think they started coming in. Well, no, I saw them in July. And I joined the group. We've become friends. I follow things, their conversations. So the meetings have become harder and harder to go to. You have to get there earlier and earlier and earlier. And it's exhausting to be around the rhetoric and the people that are there, and they're very angry and they're very mean. And my husband was out of town in October, and then he had COVID. And let's see, I guess I didn't know he had COVID yet, but he just got back he was going to get back into town late at night. And I was like, okay, because I usually I stay overnight, because if you're going to get there at 3 a.m, you have to, and I live in Tulsa, not in the capital. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to put my daughter to bed, and then I'm going to get a babysitter to sit at my house until my husband gets home at midnight. And then I'm going to drive there in the middle of the night. But then it was like pouring rain, and I was like, I can't drive in pouring rain to get there, but I'm like, I have to go. And so then I was like, you know what, it's better to be alive, and so I'm gonna sleep in. And I woke up in the morning and I was like, I think I can still get there. It's okay if I don't get a place in line. It's fine. I don't have to talk. I have to go. And I go and I get there, and the Defense of Democracy, those friends, they were there already in line, waving at me. They had coffee. The next day,
they had crepes. They had muffins and sausage.
Nice.
Like they're like, I got a spot for you. Don't worry. Some of us are just here to hold spots, and they traded me on a spot because they knew that I'm always there. And it has been such a comfort, and they are such wonderful humans and provide such camaraderie, and I'm so thankful for them.
It's almost like the real sense of community and camaraderie and altruism and patriotism is coming from the non-fascist side.
Yeah.
And the people that are trying to manipulate the system by getting seniors who have nothing to do all day, sit there all day and take up space online. But that we're protecting the children. You don't have kids in the school, but you old person, go sit online. You have nothing to do all day, so that when it's my turn, I'll slip in there and I'll spout my rhetoric. But meanwhile, you're trying to juggle you having your kids safe at night sleep in bed?
Right.
Do I drive to the Capitol? I mean, the individual heroism and the group heroism that I'm seeing on the side of democracy is the only sense of hope I have. I don't know if hope can overcome the insidiousness that we're fighting, but I think we have more hope than they do. So I that story is really kind of heartwarming to me because it means we have a chance.
I think the sustained work is going to be creating community like they did, because it's not going to end, and we very soon, very fast, very easily, and to know that we're going to sit together and drink coffee and have a good time at 3 a.m. and eat pancakes together is like, that's something I can keep doing. It's important to, and I think it's something that is going to draw other people to feel comfortable and safe and know that they can join too, and want to even. The community aspect is going to be huge.
Because I think a lot of people don't get involved because of the ugliness of it all. And a lot of people don't want to speak out because, I mean, you should see our Instagram feed. It is insane the amount of stuff we get lashed out at for. And it's just pure stupidity that we have to deal with on a daily basis. It really is.
I just find it funny,
hatred, racism, xenophobia, the whole 9 yards, you name it. But I like Karen, I believe that there's more good to come from this than bad. I think democracy is being tested. This is definitely a pass or fail scenario. And I think democracy could be stronger in the end if we get everybody to vote the right way. So I think we need to shift our focus away from, talking shit about MAGA to trying to unite the 75% of the population that's still, because that's our problem. Because let's remind everybody, Adolf Hitler won the vote one chancellor with 43%. That's all he needed to win. And, then kill millions of people on top of that. I mean, do we want that to happen? Do we really want that history repeating itself in America?
Some people do.
And, I just want to put out there that anybody watching this, that's not an exaggeration. Like that is where we're headed. And I don't consider myself, an alarmist or anything like that. But I, have had conversations with friends of mine who fled countries where they're one of my girlfriends whose father was pulled out of his bed in the middle of the night. She never saw him again. Okay, she came to this country. Yes, and so she is like, this is where you are headed. We are headed.
Right.
And
I think that's the stuff we need to point out, like the consequences of Donald Trump, not just what he's saying and what he's doing, but what could the outcome be?
Again, he's not the originator of this. He's just the convenient tool that they finally got in office. Someone so dumb and so narcissistic and rotten that they were like, this is our chance. But then they got smart.
They know this is their last chance. The Heritage Foundation has said in their manifesto, they even know that 2024 is the last chance they have of implementing all this stuff. So, but unfortunately, we are out of time for the day. I think we're at we're at an hour and 8 minutes already. So, any closing thoughts, Ashley?
I think sometimes I feel very alone in Oklahoma, and I think that we are I think I'm always thinking they're trying things out here. The money is going here, and they're like, is this how we take over a school system? Is this how we get rid of libraries? Is this? And so I hope that we all pay attention to the states where these like secret, creepy things are happening, and we throw money and people and care at that work, because that, if we shut it down when it starts, it's better than letting it get big and worse.
I agree. Karen?
My closing thought is just, defense of democracy. While we're not the only organization, and there are lots of great organizations, I would welcome anyone who is ready to join us, become part of the family. We are very volunteer centered. I have this organization wouldn't be where it was if I didn't have the support and advice of some of the most incredible people in this country. We have experts in all kinds of fields and people who are
No.
Oh, we lost audio for a second. Should hop back on here.
Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Oh no, not at the end.
Really?
Oh, we may have lost her. Well, anyway, I guess we'll have to is she gonna come back on? No. I'm
Lot
sorry.
smarter than me.
Well,
You are away.
we lost you, Karen, for a while there.
Am I back?
You're back now. Yeah, sorry, we lost you right at the end there.
You were saying something crazy about experts knowing what they're talking about. I don't know.
Yeah, that's so anyway, join Defense Democracy.org. We're in every state. We're every Tuesday we have a nationwide call where we go on live on Zoom and you really learn a lot. So that's all I want to say. And
Yep,
didn't you mention something about
in the description of the video as well?
Karen, before the show, you mentioned something about some sort of 24-hour TikTok situation.
So we are going to be, Defense of Democracy is doing something new. I've never done it before. We are going to do a TikTok-a-thon tomorrow, Wednesday, from 2 o'clock Eastern till 2 a.m. Eastern on Thursday morning. So for 12 hours, and we have different individuals hosting different hours of this. And one of them is actually the guy that you showed from Virginia. He's one of our volunteers.
Nice.
So he will be hosting one of the hours. And so find us, go to our national TikTok page, look for us tomorrow between 2 p.m., 2 a.m. And we'll hopefully be mobilizing a lot more people that way.
I know what I'm going to watch while I'm at work tomorrow.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks for coming on. Hopefully we can have you on again in the future. Ashley, you're welcome on anytime. Please don't hesitate to reach out. And
if you need anything from us, if we could break some news for you, if we could bring attention and again,
juicy material.
This isn't
all
for
the juicy
us.
Material
we want to help. So
we'll do
anything
we're
you
all
could,
about that.
Anything we could do for you.
All right. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, Mike, that's all the time we have for today. Yep. Any closing thoughts from you?
I think I'm getting sick of saying the same thing again, so I'm not going to say what I always say, and I'm not even going to hint at what it was because that would count. What I am going to say is I am very thankful for the opportunity to have amazing people on our small little show.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's actually been quite humbling that we've been able to build our little tiny network so far, and we're very, very excited to do whatever we can to help in our corner of the world. So I want to just thank everyone that trusts us with their message. And if you have a message, let us help you get it out there.
Feel free to reach out. If you want to get involved with Defense of Democracy or Stop Moms for Liberty, both their information is in the description of the video on YouTube. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We're not going to be airing another episode until the 26th. We're taking a week off. We've been pushing pretty hard because me and Mike, obviously, we do this all ourselves, and we do it out of the level of our heart because we don't want to see our country fall into a fascist dictatorship. So we got to speak up as much as possible. So that's it for today. Thanks for joining us. And of course, like always, we will talk to you soon.